I hesitate to think where we're going with this, but Jack Grealish and Phil Foden were warned by Pep Guardiola about their conduct after the two of them were dropped from Manchester City's win over Newcastle due to a, quotes, night out. It appears, Simon, the management at City were unhappy with the pair's condition when they reported for training the following day. We know that Jack and that Phil have had problems in the past, and one wonders where this will go. This was Pep after the match at the weekend, after the Newcastle match, talking on this very subject.
I decided for these teams because they deserve to play today, these guys, and not the other ones. And over like this, so in the Christmas time, I pay a lot of attention to behavior on and off the pitch. And when the off the pitch is not proper, I'm not going to play. So I have to be focused all the time because the distractions in the Christmas times and everything can happen, and you have to still be focused.
You could hear in Pep's statement there,
irritation,
accentuate the off the pitch as well, on and off the pitch. City were said to be content for the players to spend time relaxing after the Leeds match. They won it 7-0, but and both players starred in it and played well. But certainly, in terms of their condition, when they pitched up for training, it wasn't what it should have been. Somebody called Trevor Sinclair once said, boys will be boys. Is it a similar situation here?
It's a similar situation in terms of, young men out and about. You give them the keys to the world because of all the opportunities they have with the economics of the world that they live in and the benefits that go with it. And you can't say that you lock them up like the man in the iron mask, but turning up the next morning not fit or in a condition goes to the heart of a professional sports. I know we can look back on wonderful players over the years that probably did it regularly, Georgie Best or Paul Gascoigne, and that didn't work out particularly well for them, and they're extreme cases. And there was an element of recidivism about these two boys because it's a year ago, and I don't want to keep dragging up people's past to hit them in the present because I've just made an argument on a different subject about not wanting to do that. But if you keep on doing things in a certain way, Jack Grealish has got a £100 million transfer to Man City to play in a proper achieving football club that Aston Villa hope to be again. So you're coming into an elite environment and it's not how you behave. It wasn't so long ago you were standing on the side of the road in a slipper, right? And we would have thought that was something you didn't need to replicate. Go out, have a good time. If you're allowed to do that, there's latitude given you, but you can't rock in the next morning in a condition that your own manager says that's not reflective of the outlook I expect to see or the condition I want for you to be able to perform in, and he's prepared to say that to the media. I think that's in some ways that's a glowing endorsement of how Pep Guardiola is prepared to manage his players, which is I'm bigger than you, the team is bigger than you, and I'm not going to hide, I'm not going to protect you from things that you don't deserve to be protected from. You look at Foden, Foden's a kid.
They could say incidentally they were relaxing.
Yeah, but that's fine. And they've been allowed to relax, but clearly they've relaxed too much. And they've come in the next morning in a condition that their manager, not the media and not somebody on the sidelines that doesn't have any relevance, their manager, the person that looks after them the most, the person that protects them and wants the well-being of both them as individuals and the club to be at the fore, has told the media that it's because they're worse for wear.
You see, Pep got it second hand. He didn't oversee the warm-down session last Wednesday. He was in Barcelona for Aguero's retirement announcement.
Well, listen, you're only as good as the people. If the only way a business runs is if you're there, then you're not going to be successful. So he will have trusted lieutenants that replicate the same standards that he has. So if he's got a good staff behind him, which I'm sure he has, then he will sit there understanding what condition the player's in and take it at face value from his staff members.
Well, you would presume, Simon, they would get a bit of intel that they've been out. So when they come in, they'd be looked at quite closely.
Yeah, maybe.
And a decision would be made.
Maybe.
These two are not up to it.
If he's happy for them to have gone out, I mean, I'm sure that Manchester City, irrespective of whatever I do and don't think of Manchester City's ownership model, they are a very professional football club, and I'm imagining that Guardiola is very clear and explicit of what he expects of his players. He hasn't said this in isolation. He'll have said this in advance. When he talks about, I look at my players' conduct on and off the pitch, I'm willing to wager you he would have said that to the players about how he expects them to behave when they've got their relaxation time, what he expects to see them from over Christmas. So these players will have known that. So for them to have rocked in the next morning, allegedly in a condition which is not becoming of them, then they need to be consequenced. The tragedy of it is it's two of our very bright stars in the England national side. One of them that's being raved about in Foden, and one of them that's being, waxed lyrical about for some time now is a £100 million footballer.
Yeah.
We can smash them if we want, but they've been dropped for a game and they've been outed in public, and they've now got more form than they already had before. So when they do want a bit of benefit of the doubt, a bit of latitude somewhere along the line, they're not going to get it because their behaviour previously has put them in a position where they aren't beyond reproach.
I mean, John Durnan, former Liverpool player, is saying to me, Jim, I mean, be fair to them a bit, surely here. Everyone's putting two and two together, getting 5.
Yep.
We don't really know what kind of condition they were in.
Well, it doesn't matter.
We don't really know.
But we don't. What we do know is that the person that matters and who wants to voice the opinion is their manager.
Yeah.
Now, even Pep Guardiola is a first-class manager, an elite manager, and knows what he's talking about and expects a certain level of standards from the players, that Man City players know what they are or he doesn't. So it doesn't really matter if we don't know what the condition of these players was. It matters that Pep Guardiola does. Now, if we're suggesting that Pep Guardiola is singling out Foden and Grealish and marking their card to ensure that they're judged by a different set of standards, well, I don't think that's right. I don't think you'd be at the level of success and attainment that he has from his side if he was in some way or another not an equitable manager.
I think he's quite clear and he's quite strong in what he said. At Christmas time, I pay a lot of attention to behaviour on and off the pitch. And when off the pitch is not proper, they're not going to play. I mean, he couldn't be more definitive.
Yeah, and they're not going to play because of the judgment calls that they've made. And the judgment calls that they've made have put... If they went out and had a wonderful time and enjoyed themselves and came in the next morning and were at it, on it and across it,
right,
then there'd be no discussion,
would
there, right?
Yeah.
So the argument is what condition were they in? Who cares if they were 5% off, John, 3% off, or 30% off?
It's a bit away from Qatar yet. Should Southgate be bothered?
I think it's something he should be mindful of, but I don't think it's going to be something that these players are going to keep on doing. They've had their cards marked now. Foden was away on international duty. He got royally castigated for that, so we haven't seen any behaviour in the international camp. He's now had his card marked at club level. Grealish is a moron. Right, and he needs to be reminded.
Oh, Simon, that's too strong.
Come on.
That's too strong. I know Jack, he's a good lad.
He's a moron. If you go and...
That's not fair.
I don't care if he's a good lad or not. If you repeat the same circumstances and put yourself in a way of it, you give yourself an opportunity to rebuild the reputation you had. He earned a reputation of being a bit of a Herbert back in the day, and he got rid of that reputation. People seen him laying around drunk on benches in the summer, which he's entitled to do. Not what you want to see from a professional sportsman, and not what you'd see from Olympic sprinters or tennis players lounging around on drunk as a skunk in Tenerife. But that's what our footballers do sometimes, right? Jack Grealish shed that image, right? Shed it. And then bang, he's being judged by his football. Fabulous. Next thing you know, he's standing on the side of the road, half cut, in a pair of slippers.
Yeah, but the apology and everything for that.
We got the apology.
He's moved on from that.
So he moves on from that.
And we don't know how serious this was.
So then the next
latest thing.
So the next thing we see is he's all over the front pages because of his personal life, right? And that's what happens with celebrities now, modern day footballers, right? Then the next thing we see, when he's just establishing himself, and he ain't playing that well for Man City, by the way, just establishing himself at Man City, the next thing, he is now in the eye of a storm for turning up to training in a condition not befitting. That, by my definition, is a moron.
Too strong. It's 11 o'clock.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.